For 2.5, 3 years, I did not even make basic returns. In fact, my returns were less than fixed deposit returns, which was really surprising because I ended up investing in bad mutual funds just randomly. And yeah, it was just a bad move. So I learned that lesson. Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So I'm shooting today's video in a vlog style. I'm not a vlogger. Do you want me to become one? Let me know in the comment box. But on today's video, what we are going to do is that I'm going to discuss 5 of the key failures in my life, 5 key mistakes that I have made, what I have learned from it. I think this is a super personal, super important video because if I would have known these things earlier, I could have prioritized and planned my life really well. So it is a super important video from that perspective. Please listen to it. I will be talking about investment journey also and personal journey also. So let us get the video started. So the first key failure or mistake that I made in my life was that I was very underconfident and a very risk averse person. Now this stemmed from the fact that I grew up in a small city called as Gwalior. I spent majority of my childhood years there. So I always had this belief that, people from like big metros are super polished, super confident. I was an introvert. So that was in my personality. Even now, when I go for any networking event, I genuinely feel very out of place. So networking does not come naturally to me even now. But yeah, I'm not an extrovert. So I always feel a little bit shaky when it comes to networking events or going out, meeting people, etc. Third and finally, my English was really, really poor. But you might say that, Akshat, that now you're running a channel, you're speaking in good English. So how did that change come in? I will speak about that in a minute. But because I could not speak English really well, I grew up in a tier 2, tier 3 city, very underconfident. Inherently, I was an introvert. So I always used to be very, very underconfident, even on things where I was good. So this became like a first failure point to me because as I grew up in life, then I realized that if you're just simply confident, then it solves like so many issues for you. Think about it this way, that in office, that you would have seen a lot of your colleagues not knowing much, but they are super confident. They go in front of boss, say a lot of BS, get promotion majority of the time. And even if you know a lot and you are technically sound, but just because you are lacking confidence, many of the good career opportunities just pass you by. So having confidence is very important. This is something that I realized very late in my life. I wish I could have been more confident. Now, 2 very important points or techniques that I will tell you here is that confidence can be built in 2 ways. So one is an external way of building or displaying confidence. It is called as the fake it till you make it approach. You might have heard of this saying also. So just portray to the world that you know a lot of stuff. Just keep on bragging and fake it till the point that you yourself start believing in that. Now, this is something that has worked for a lot of people and it potentially might work for you as well. So try doing it, try experimenting with that particular mode. But a second way of building confidence, especially for introverts, would be that you get better at things that you're doing. So think about it this way, that for example, if you struggle in terms of learning English. So for example, I struggled in terms of learning English. So started watching a lot of English movies. And that sparked my interest in terms of learning. And I'm not kidding you that in class 9, I failed my English unit test. So that was my first academic failure in my life. And it kind of pushed me that, I need to really take an interest in terms of learning English, because no matter where I looked, be it in terms of reading books, be it in terms of consuming any type of media, you need to know English. And back during my day, like when I was a student in school, internet was not that prevalent. I'm not that old, by the way. But yeah, I hope you get the picture that if you grew up in 90s, then in India, internet was not that prevalent. So it was very difficult to learn English. So I started watching English movies, whichever English movies I could get my hands on. I had cable TV, so I utilized that to the best of my ability in order to pick English. And I was able to transform my English speaking skills quite aggressively. But the point that I want to drive home here is fairly simple, that in order to improve on any skill set and become confident on any skill set, you need to undergo a series of improvements. For example, for me, I started out by watching English movies. Then I started joining some local speaking clubs, joined like Toastmasters Club, and a bunch of other different things that I did. I did it because I realized that, without English, there is just like no survival. So I started learning about it. INSEAD was a key ecosystem for me, which immersed me into a key learning ecosystem, because there I got to meet people from so many different nationalities. Yes, it's true that by the time I reached INSEAD, my English was already quite good, but that was a wholly different immersive experience that really skyrocketed my confidence per se. So to cut the long story short, it is very important to build confidence. That's one. You can build confidence in a very inorganic way, fake it till you make it, or you can build it in a real way by successfully improving bit by bit on the skill that you're trying to improve upon. So this also brings us to the sponsors of today's video, which is Cambly. It's an excellent English language learning app. It creates an immersive ecosystem for you where you can go and speak with highly trained native English speakers and improve your English speaking skills. So you can check the links in the description box for a very special code from Cambly. So it started raining a little bit hard, so I came inside. And now let me speak about the second key failure in my life and what did I learn from it. So my second key failure was not being able to pursue cricket professionally. So for people who are already a regular viewer of my channel, so I played for under 14, under 16 state cricket teams. And at that point in time, all I wanted to do was to become a professional cricketer. That is all I wanted. And when I could not make it as a cricketer, it really shattered my heart. I hit the absolute rock bottom in my life. I did not know what to do in my career. I'm speaking about this from the viewpoint that many of you might be struggling in your career. You might want something really, really badly, but it just doesn't work out for some reason, right? And at that point in time, we feel that, you know what, everything is done. There is nothing that would exist from this point. And trust me, I was at that stage in my life and it was a very dark phase in my life, so to say. I genuinely did not have a clue as to what I would be doing next. I literally was really bad at studying. Sports was the only thing that I excelled and that was taken away from me. Now, why did that happen? I had an ACL tear in my left leg when I was in class 11th, and at that point in time, I had to make a call either to continue to study or undergo a surgery, take like almost a year off from playing cricket. And by the time I started to make a recovery, I had gained a lot of weight. I had like weight related issues. I was a fast bowler. So that was just the end of my career from that point. So what I realized from this failure was that number one, any failure is not fatal, right? I mean, irrespective of what you might want to do truly in life, your passion might not work out, right? So please do not get dejected. Number 2 point is that your career exists in flow. This is such an important concept. Now, I can explain that concept to you by taking you through an example, right? So, for example, when I was 15, 16, I wanted to be a professional cricketer. I worked really hard towards it. I could not make it. Then, by the time I was 20, I took my GMAT. I excelled at GMAT. I wanted to pursue a proper corporate career. So, I ended up cracking some of the world's best companies in terms of working with corporates. And I was very happy, but only up to a point. Then I realized that, you know what? Corporate world, not for me. Then I moved on to entrepreneurship. I was very, very happy. I started discovering more things. And as an entrepreneur, I started realizing that, you know what, probably it might make even more sense for me if I go and help out other entrepreneurs, start a VC fund, start investing in different businesses, etc., etc. So the point is that my career flowed from point A to B to C. And at every juncture in my career, I wanted to get something new out of it. Because if I would have just thought that, you know what, I made it to like a top 3 management consulting firm, that's it, I have achieved everything, life is done, right? So your career will always exist in a flow. When you have achieved a target, you will end up setting a slightly more difficult new target for yourself. And when you achieve that, it will give you a sense of fulfillment and excitement, no doubt about that. Now, this can be construed in many different ways. You would say that, Akshat, you know what, you are a career hopper. Probably you're not focused. If I end up doing something like you, my seniors will say that, you know what, focus hi nahi hai. You should just be focusing on one single thing, and they are correct. You should be micro-focused, but from a macro point of view, you must be considerate about the things that you want, right? Short-term thinking is basically for you to survive. That, you know what, engineering exam nikal liya, so we are very happy. Then we enjoy that phase. But long-term thinking needs to be there. That, okay, you have cleared engineering, but what is the vision that you are working towards? It's very difficult to set these long-term visions, but make your vision passion-oriented. Make those short-term micro goals as simple battle towards a bigger. And consider those micro goals as short-term battles that will help you win a war. Now, my third key failure is very personal to my heart, and this is a failure that many of you might also be witnessing in your career. And that failure has got to do with the fact that I could not understand what I want from life. If you look around, you will see so many people who are unhappy with their careers. Why? Because they are not able to figure out what they typically want from their career. Do they need like more balance? Do they need more money? Do they need more security? Do they need more freedom? These are such basic things, and people end up making really messy decisions here. So I'll give you an example, right? So I have a very close friend. He was coming from a non-profit background. He used to solve cases with me. We were both very, very passionate about getting into consulting. And guess what? Both of us ended up going to top tier consulting firms after our MBA as well. And he became really happy with consulting. He left that consulting job within 6 or 7 months of joining the consulting firm. Not because he had performance issues, but the expectations with which he got into consulting were completely unfounded. He thought that when I get to consulting, I'll be making more money. I'll be enjoying my life. I'll have security, whatnot. But he never imagined that the work pressure would be so high. So he ended up missing some of the key things that should have been a part of his decision making process, and he did not like consulting too much. In the hindsight, it would have been so much better if he would have been focused from day one, if he would have internally done an analysis, asking himself what he genuinely values. Now, to talk about it from today's perspective in my life, one of my key goals right now is to get as much freedom as I can, because I am homeschooling my son Zain. I want to travel to these type of locations, participate on interesting projects, assignments. For example, I am making a finance course for kids. So it's going to be a story-based course. It's going to be released completely for free. So it has got nothing to do with money, but to do with the fact that this is a passion project for me. So I would want to focus on doing more and more such passion projects. I would only be able to achieve these different things if I plan my life around it. So I truly need to ask myself the question that, hey, is my goal from this point, is it to make like crazy amount of money, or is it to follow my passion projects, get more freedom, etc., etc.? Because there will always be trade-offs irrespective of what you want to do. Let me speak about it more from a relatable viewpoint, because you might say that, Akshat, you know what? Right now you have like multiple sources of income, so very easy for you to follow these passion projects. And I agree, because the last decade of my life has gone into finding clarity as to what I want. For example, there was a phase in my life, even when I used to be sick. I remember a time when I had like malaria and I was getting work done. I know I will get a lot of bashing in the comment section that actually you should not have been doing it. I completely agree. But I'm telling you that there were situations when I was sick and I was still working because I left myself with no choice. And that is the same situation in which a lot of people find themselves. Because what happens is that, think about it this way, that I spent 12, 14 hours a day creating parallel income streams, and it took out a lot of steam out of me. But I did it because I did not want to lose what I had already built. For example, when I graduated from INSEAD, I ended up working at a consulting firm. Now the working hours are crazy. But I had worked so hard to get to that point, I did not want to squander that opportunity. So that meant that, you know what, just keep on running on that hamster wheel. So I wish in the hindsight, I would have prioritized my health more, and I would have truly introspected and figured out the answer what I wanted the most. And I would have probably started to make better decisions sooner rather than later in my career. Now, the fourth failure that I had comes from the stock market or investing journey itself. So just to tell you a little bit about my family background. So in my family, people do not generally invest in stock market / mutual fund. My grandfather used to do it a little bit, but no one formally learned how to invest in stock markets, etc. Right? So when I started my investing journey, I had to learn a lot of things through trial and error. So back then there was no YouTube, so I could not get a lot of useful information also. So I learned a lot of things through trial and error. So here were some of the key mistakes that I made. That initially I started my journey in mutual funds. For 2.5, 3 years, I did not even make basic returns. In fact, my returns were less than fixed deposit returns, which was really surprising because I ended up investing in bad mutual funds just randomly. And yeah, it was just a bad move. So I learned that lesson. So the key lesson that I learned was that you need to be responsible for managing your own money. So this was the first part of my stock market journey. After that, I started investing in the stock market directly. Again, took a loss, like many of you might be taking in 2022. It's a normal process. That's the fees that you pay to the market in order to learn about stock investing. The key mistakes that I made, many of you might be making it, that I used to get scared with volatility, that, you know what, some days I'm seeing my portfolio in green, super happy. Then suddenly minor crash comes. I'll start panicking. I sold my portfolio. Then after a while, I realized that, you know what, okay, market is climbing up. It has climbed substantially up. Now I will enter it again. Trying to time the market was a horrible thing that I did in the first 1.5, 2 years of my journey. I could not make any return. In fact, I would have lost money again. For the first 3 to 4 years of my investing journey, I lost money. Now, since I was working in consulting, I used to do a series of different projects, helping Fortune 500 companies amp up their revenues, profits. I quickly realized that, you know what, stock market is not very different. It is about company analysis. It is about analyzing the economy. It is about being patient. But curating my psychology, that only came from experiences, and that only came from failures. So in essence, and hopefully you will find comfort in these words, that almost all the investors, when they start their investing journey, especially in direct equities, they are going to lose money if there is no one guiding you. So it's completely fine. That lose a little bit of money, but yeah, please do not sell your house and invest everything in the stock market just because the stock market is falling or rising. Please don't make dramatic moves as long as you are able to survive and stay in the stock market for long term. If you are able to survive and stay in the stock market, you are going to make a lot of money. So I hope that you learn from this failure of mine. Now let me speak about fifth and final failure, which is my failure of not giving enough time to my family in pursuits of my professional goal. This is a failure that I assume many of you might be able to resonate with, that you're not able to give enough time to your wife or husband or to your parents. This is a fairly common phenomenon because the work culture is designed in such a way that you are left with no time for family, and this becomes a major issue. The competition crazy high. If you're not competing at a brisk pace, the chances are that you might be left out. So approximately the time I was 30, 31, this became very evident to me that I was prioritizing my professional career much more compared to my personal life, which is something that I would highly encourage all of you to think a little bit more about. I'm not saying that go slow on your career, go really fast, but there are a few key things that you need to remember. First and foremost, please create a productivity system for you, because if you are able to get a lot of work done in 7-8 hours, then you will be left with a lot of time for other activities also. This is the first key basic thing that will be applicable to everyone, right? Irrespective of what type of work you're doing, whether in corporate, whether in government, whether in entrepreneurship. Number two, try to get to a point where your personal and professional life intermingles. Okay, now this is a highly controversial thing, so I'll take a minute to explain it. So basically, intermingling of your personal and professional life means what I'm doing right now, right? So I'm not saying that, hey, I'm a gold standard and follow me, nothing of that sort, and I'm not trying to boast at all. But if life presents you with an opportunity where you can mix your personal and professional life, so to say, go for it. For example, I'm actually working, I'm shooting a YouTube video on a vacation, right? I told my wife that I'm going to take maybe a couple of hours to shoot a couple of videos, and after that we'll go to a restaurant. So the bottom line is that you must at least have this option where you can work from home, where you can go spend time with your children. If your parents need you, then you can be there for them. You can travel very easily. You do not get stuck in terms of taking leave approvals or work with employers who are not considerate about your family time at all. Please make these basic changes. Now I'm going to say something very negative, but don't get depressed by it. Think about this, that for example, irrespective of the amount of work that you do, amount of money that you make, are you going to be massively significant? The answer is none of us are going to be massively significant. It's much better to be internally content rather than trying to run some external race. It is just not worth your time. Think about it. If there are opportunities, options for you to make money remotely, if you can achieve that financial freedom very quickly, then make your work fun and balance your personal and professional life. I'm not saying that, you know what, just retire and don't do anything, because that will also kill out a lot of fun. The important thing, and what our parents always teach us, is to always find a balance. You should not do things in extreme that you're working like crazy or you're not working at all. Figure out somewhere in the middle where the work becomes a joy for you. So these were some of the key failures. Let me know which failure do you connect the most with. Also, many of you might have questioned that, Akshat, how did you improve your English speaking skills? So here is a video that I had done on the same topic. Please observe some of the key techniques that I personally have used. So it might be useful for you in terms of gaining more confidence and growing professionally. And also check this short clip of me speaking with a Cambly tutor. I had a really nice time speaking with him.
Do you like cricket more or football more or soccer?
I don't like cricket. I love it.
So you have been teaching on Cambly, or do you do like other stuff along with this?
Yes, it's been since the beginning of the year. I think I had my 6-month anniversary last week. I got a nice message from Cambly. Thank you, Cambly. If you can see on YouTube, thank you for the message.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you tomorrow.